I'm sure you've all seen the memes going around that just like in the 1980s, we have an Indiana Jones movie and a Batman movie that came out in the summer. Unlike the summer of 1980, both the Batman movie and the Indiana Jones movie were kind of terrible. So let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Starting with the title, okay? The Dial of Destiny? What kind of name is that? I know people have been ratting on this since the title was announced, but come on. You've got such cool names like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Temple of Doom, the Last Crusade, and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and then we get the Dial of Destiny. I get that it's alliteration, but it's kind of dumb. That was my first problem with this movie. Now, I went into this movie with a very low bar. I was not planning on this movie being super great. I wasn't planning on this movie fulfilling any of my expectations that I wanted with Indiana Jones, especially with the rumors that this is probably going to be Harrison Ford's last outing as Indiana. So, let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The film opens in the 1940s as the war draws to a close, and Indiana and his friend Baz have infiltrated a castle full of Nazis. Indiana Jones is captured, the commander tells them to go kill him, and the other men search for Baz, capture him, and take him to the commander's train. I think the first inkling that I had that there were going to be problems with this movie came when there was the first action set piece of the film. The Nazis are hanging Indiana in the belfry of this church or castle or wherever, and a bomb goes off. He gets hung by the neck, he's dangling there, and then it just keeps breaking and he's being swung around like a child swinging a stick attached to a string, and he's alive. I think at that moment, just kind of all the tension of the movie drained for me. I really just was not concerned if Indiana Jones was going to live or die, because I knew he wasn't going to die. Obviously the fourth movie has happened. He's old, so he's not going to die at that point. The whole intro discussing this with my friend afterwards did not necessarily need to happen. We could have just jumped into Indiana being old and continued, given a slice of life, really set up their premise for this film and just let the first 10 minutes of this movie dig into that, as opposed to trying to be this super cool set piece with some really dumb CGI. Him trying to run on top of the train was absolutely so dumb. I really wasn't bothered by the deepfake as much as I thought I was going to be, but the de-aging that they did on Harrison Ford was actually pretty decent. The thing that gave it away for me that it was, so obviously fake, apart from the fact that we all know Harrison Ford is old, is his voice, because he sounded like old Harrison Ford as opposed to young Harrison Ford. And the whole first action set piece takes place at night on a train, and it was very dimly lit and kind of hard to see, which, to be fair, could have been my theater, but it was kind of difficult to see, and I just didn't like it that much. Indiana and his friend Baz retrieve this artifact that is known as the Antikythera. The Antikythera is half of a dial that was created by Archimedes and is significantly more advanced than anything should have been in ancient Greece. Jump forward to present day. Indiana Jones is an old man. He's going through his life. We see that he's got divorce papers from Marion, and he's teaching in New York, and he's teaching about the Greco period that Archimedes was in to his students, who are all incredibly bored. There's only one girl there who seems to know the answers to these questions. Class is disrupted by the fact that, the parade's going because man has landed on the moon and the astronauts have returned safely. Indiana Jones is retiring, and so all of his friends throw him this retirement party. As he's leaving, this girl confronts him. They go into a bar together and reveals that it's Baz's daughter, Helena, who has known Indiana but hasn't spoken to him in 20 odd years. I don't know. It's unclear. Meanwhile, the bad guy, who is played by Mads Mikkelsen, the Nazi, is alerted to the fact that this girl and Indiana are together. Helena wants the Antikythera because she wants to continue her dad's research, and Indiana takes her to this area of a museum where he knows that they can find find it. While there, they're ambushed by the Nazis. Helena takes off with the artifact, leaving Indiana to run and try and escape from these guys. There's this whole chase sequence. I felt nothing during this chase sequence. I was surprised because every single chase sequence in this film, I just did not feel any tension. It just felt like we had to get through this action set piece to get to the next piece. And I was very surprised because I'm a fan of James Mangold's work. Like, I think he does some really cool stuff, but it just did not land for me, and I don't understand why. Indiana Jones goes to Tangier to head off Helena because she's about to sell this artifact at a private auction to pay off gambling debt. And the Nazis arrive, they take the artifact. There's yet another chase sequence, and they end up losing the artifact, but because Helena had memorized part of her dad's journals, they know where to go and get it in the Algerian Sea. And there's another chase sequence that I did not care for. They pick up this kid, Teddy, who is, I think, supposed to be kind of like the replacement to Short Round, but just didn't really hit quite that well, for me at least. And they end up going to Greece. They team up with Indiana Jones's friend, a deep sea diver, and they go to the wreck where the original piece of the Antikythera was found in order to find the Graphicos tablet, which Helena believes is on the same ship. They retrieve the tablet, come back up to the surface. It turns out that the Nazis found them. The Nazis are interrogating them. Indiana refuses to tell them anything. And so they shoot Indiana's friend, the diver, and kill him. And then Helena just gives them the information right then and there. She just gives it up for money. And it was at this moment that I realized that I really, really did not like her. I did not like her as a character. I was so frustrated by her. And we'll get to that more later, but she was an angering character. Oh my gosh. They then escape with the tablet that Helena apparently lied to them about the location, but the Nazis sees that they're going a different way. They go to Sicily to find Archimedes' tomb, end up finding the tomb. They get the other half of the dial. The Nazis come capture them. He connects the dial, and the whole thing with the dial is that it can predict rifts in time. That'll send you to different times. And so with it, they take Indiana Jones, who has been shot yet again, into a plane, and the plan is for this Nazi to go and bomb Berlin in order to, it's Berlin or Munich, I don't remember, in order to kill Hitler before World War II starts so he can be the leader of the Nazi party and do it better. They go back in time, but realize that instead of being sent back to 1939 Germany, they've been sent back to Greece. In Archimedes' time, Indiana Jones and Helena end up parachuting down as the Greeks and the Romans are fighting. Jones wants to stay in ancient Greece. Helena tries to get him to not stay, ends up knocking him out. And then at the end of the film, Indiana Jones wakes up inside of his apartment. Things have repaired themselves with Marion. There's actually this really sweet scene between the two of them, which was my favorite scene of the film. So I'm glad it was the last scene because I really liked the last scene. And then it fades to credits. That is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So let's talk about some of the technical aspects of the film. The movie felt so bland. The directing was there. James Mangold is a good director and he directed it. And the writing was there, it was the parts of an Indiana Jones movie. The cinematography, in my opinion, was one of the best elements. Apart from that dark scene at the beginning, the rest of the film looked really pretty. I thought that the light was always gorgeous. The characters were always framed so nicely. I really liked the cinematographer for it. Some of the acting was good. I liked Harrison Ford's performance. I liked Mads Mikkelsen. I always love Mads Mikkelsen. He does such a great job. He was a great bad guy. As I said before, the actress who played Helena, I could not stand her character. I think it was mainly poor writing, but I thought she was trying too hard and it just showed, and it was so lackluster. I felt nothing for the kid who played Teddy, and we got to see Salah again, which was always nice. I love John Rhys Davies. And Marion, I don't know the actress who plays her. She was nice for the, 2 minutes she was in the movie. The editing was fine for the film. John Williams' score slapped, and that's because it's John Williams and he always produces a banger. I love the score. It's hard to put into words how I feel because like it had the action set pieces, it had the Nazis, it had the feeling of an Indiana Jones film, but it was missing a soul. And I don't know how to describe it, but it just felt like a movie going through the actions of being a movie, but like I was never invested and I never cared. It was so weird. The reason I think that Helena's character was so frustrating to me was because she never had, she's supposed to be a pretentious asshole at the beginning of the film, and she ends up becoming a better character as time progresses, but she's never given like a save the cat moment at the beginning of the film. And because she's never given a save the cat moment, she just comes off as a bad guy for so long that she's just frustrating, and it was hard. It was impossible to root for her and like her. In conclusion, I was more bored by this movie than anything else. I think technically it was very good. For the most part, the CGI worked pretty well. A lot of the stuff looked pretty practical, but it was just very boring. And maybe it was partially like a lot of the action set pieces in the older movies are very unique. Like in The Last Crusade, they're in those catacombs under Venice, I believe. And it's just like, it's so cool. They're down in the water with all the rats. And then in this, they're like underwater in this shipwreck that you can't see anything. And there's eels. It was just impossible to see what was going on. And it was really hard to get invested because you couldn't tell what was happening. So overall, not a theater watch. I would not recommend checking this out in theaters. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, wait till it comes out on streaming and then check it out there. Don't have your hopes set too high so that way you're not disappointed. Overall, I would give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 6 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more content. Bye.